Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jess, and in today's video I'm going to be building a fully functional house in a 5x5 square. The only rule for today's challenge is that the interior must remain inside of the 5x5 square. However, the exterior can go outside of it. That way we can create a nice pretty house. Now we can finally get started with today's build. To make my life a little easier, I made this little starter guide type of thing, which has some color swatches, a custom window that I made earlier, and some decal plants. Sorry to the people who don't like decal plants, I'm using them. Also, these swatches may end up changing. And this is the guideline I will have to stay in for the house build itself. And now to finally start building. Okay, so instead of doing a shape like this for my house, I'm going to make a shape like this. That way it has a little more shape to the front of the house, even though I'm sacrificing the only space I have to be building with. I've just started to colour the house this like creamy yellow colour, which is pretty ironic since my last house was pretty much this colour. If you haven't seen it, it's building a house using only yellow. After colouring the house, I made this porch using basic shapes that lead to the front of the house. Here is how that turned out. Considering that the porch leads to the front of the house, I may as well add this door in, to which I am going to colour a nice white colour. This is how that turned out as well. Now I'm going to find the gable roof and I'm going to use that for this house. I personally don't think I've used any other roof except for a gable roof for a house build, which is kind of embarrassing, so maybe that's something I need to work on in the future to improve my builds and give them more character. I then coloured the roof to something to my liking, and then I thought something was missing and I placed a, whatever this roof is called, as like a little overhang to give some shelter in case it rains. I'm not sure, and that's also coloured as well. And then I deleted these traditional mouldings because it looked kind of weird in my opinion. I then found these pillars and I placed them along each corner of the house to make the house look a little less flat, I guess, which I would say helped quite a bit to make it look less blocky in a sense. Now for the part where I think we'll start to make the house come together, which is adding the windows. I strongly recommend making custom windows if you want to step up your building game. I really think they're a good detail to add. That really spices up your builds quite a lot. Underneath the window I just placed, I made a little garden bed to put my decal plants into later. Okay, this is a bit random, but I'm going to have you guys watch me build my custom tree while having a bit of a one-on-one discussion with you guys. I just wanted to say, each of my videos may look different from each other, and that is because I'm experimenting with editing styles and different types of thumbnails. Because I'm still new to this, I'm trying to figure out what works best. So I apologise that the styles may be a bit different. I'm just trying to produce the best quality I can for you guys. Moving back onto the build, I have finished my tree and I'm just trying to figure out where I want them to go. I don't know why, but every time I add decals to my builds, I feel like it just steps the build up. I mean, I know some people might not agree if they're not fans of the decal plants, but personally I am. Here is the finished product of how I ended up placing my decal plants, and now I'm just going to add some actual BLOXBURG plants amongst it to make it look a little better and less flat as well. Also guys, completely off topic, but I redid my avatar and I think it's pretty cute. Back onto the build again, I found this decal plant and I placed it in the corner of this build, and then I found this pot and I placed it inside and coloured it to make it look like a terracotta pot for a bit of colour. And then beside that I placed another pot for additional colour and texture to the build, which I think was a really good way of adding a accent of orange to the front of the build. I really like terracotta pots. I don't know why, but I like the orange. For a small detail, I added these dirt piles by the trees. I'm not sure why, but it was a good way of stepping up the build. I don't know why, it just added a little something to it, and I don't know, it just made it look better. Proof detailing matters. Anyways, I wanted to add a small detail to the path, so I got a small dirt pile and I made it the concrete texture, and also made that slightly darker to the colour of the path. With that, I copied it and placed it all along the side of the pathway. And here I am speeding up the clip because I don't want to bore you guys with just me placing down concrete piles. But I do think it was a good way to spruce up the pathway without making something too big amongst it. It's such an easy detail to add to your paths, but I feel like it really stepped it up. Anyways, I'm now adding this little area where I can add plants to give a little more to the build. So here is how that turned out. And now I'm going to do the rest of the exterior off camera so we can move on to the interior. So I've done some work off camera and here is the reveal. This is how the exterior turned out. I'm really happy with it. So I added a little bench and I just added some BLOXBURG trees around the place to still make it feel like BLOXBURG while being semi-realistic. Now we're finally to the interior. This little room is going to be a bathroom, and then over here in the room next to it is going to be the living room slash bedroom, and beneath that is going to be a kitchen. This place doesn't feel so small now that I'm looking at it. Anyways, I've added some windows in for some natural light, and now I'm picking out a bed for me to make a custom day bed out of, and I'm just placing that over to this corner, and on the other side will be a dresser. So I will be back when I turn this bed into a day bed out of basic shapes. With a bit of magic, this is how my day bed turned out. It's a bit chunky, but considering it's my first time making one, I think it turned out pretty good. And if you look underneath, I added the small detail of drawers underneath to make it look more realistic. Now in this clip, I'm just trying to figure out colours for the walls and the floors. I made the walls this creamy yellow colour and the floors like a dark wood colour. Now for above the dresser, I'm going to add this TV that's mounted onto the wall because as stated before, this is also a living room as well as a bedroom. And then I went outside to steal this decal plant and I placed that in the corner for a bit of green into the room. Okay, in this next clip guys, right now, ignore this table. I had original plans to also make this like a breakfast nook, but that did not end up happening, so just ignore this table. Anyways, I wanted a little wall divider to separate the bedroom slash living room from the kitchen, so I'm making that out of a basic shape to get the correct size of wall I want. And here's how that turned out. And now I'm going to start working on the kitchen before I start decorating the place more. I thought this spot would be perfect for a fridge, and then I added these cabinets along the wall of the kitchen. These are my favourite cabinets out of them all, but here's how that turned out. Obviously I will colour everything in a minute. Anyways, after messing around with the kitchen, here is what I come up with. I think it turned out okay for such a small space. Okay guys, so some tragic news. While editing this video, I found out I lost the rest of the interior recording. So that means from the kitchen on, there's no more recording of me doing the interior, which is so annoying. But in light of things, at least you guys get a cooler reveal and it's more of a surprise for you guys, so let's do the reveal now. Even though I am beyond annoyed that I've lost the footage of the interior, this is still a gorgeous build and I still want to showcase it to you guys. Okay, let me actually show you this gorgeous build. So as you guys saw, this is the exterior you guys witnessed me making. I think it's very pretty. I think it turned out alright considering I haven't done realism in a hot minute. Anyways, let's head inside and showcase what I've done. When you walk in, the entry is right beside the door. We have a vanity on one side and coats on the other to keep it organized. It's quite boring here, but I think it turned out okay. Here is the custom vanity I made for the entry. Anyways, turning it around, you're actually greeted by the kitchen. I think this kitchen is really gorgeous in terms of colors. I know it's really small and there's not a lot of appliances in it, but I think it turned out really well and I utilized the space pretty nicely as well. I've never actually used this mix of colors and I think it's gorgeous and it gives kind of like fall vibes in my opinion. Anyways, beside the kitchen we have our bedroom and living room. We have our TV on one side and the day bed on the other, which functions as an actual bed of course. I really like how the orange ties into the place. Here's the painting I used. I got all my decals and everything off Pinterest. Here is one more look at the TV stand, and then when we walk over here, this is where the bathroom is going to be. I don't know why I'm bugging there, but anyways, here is the bathroom. Even though it's such a small space, I think it feels pretty spacious for what it is. If you're doing your business, you obviously need to shut the curtains, but I think the bathroom turned out okay considering it's so small. Now let's leave the house and see what the total of this build is. Ready guys, drum roll please. The house value is $122,043, which I honestly think is quite reasonable for a house with this many decals. I know it's kind of small, but it's pretty reasonable. But this sadly concludes such a short video. I'm sorry I lost quite a lot of the footage. I am really sorry. But I still hope you guys enjoyed watching this video just as much as I enjoyed filming it. If you did, definitely leave a like and subscribe to see more from me in the future. And if you have any suggestions, definitely comment them down below. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Goodbye.